and Julian John. Both players on a 6-card hand to start our legacy round here.
Yeah, we watched a really nice match from David Long earlier in the day where he piloted his Golgari deck against a Delver opponent really, really well.
Verdant Catacombs, turn 1 for Long. Just a Badlands for Rubin. No action just yet. We're going to see a fetch from Long here. He'll fetch to 19. Bayou is found.
Bow, bow, bow. Born on a bayou. There it is. Name that band.
It's a Creedence Clearwater Revival.
I knew you knew.
Lead
You'd
singer,
love
of
that
course,
song.
John Fogerty, who later would be sued for sounding too much like himself.
What?
That's we can get into that later.
The more you know.
Thespian Stage, the second land for David Long, and Sylvan Scrying trying to line up that Dark Depths.
Yep. Not really under a lot of pressure from his opponent right now. He sees Badlands. I'm not sure he knows exactly what's up from the other side. On occasion, Badlands signifies Entomb into a giant creature on turn 2. But unbeknownst to Helm, Rubin is playing a Force of Will deck.
Well, now he knows. Force of Will, pitching Snapcaster Mage, both players at 19.
You have to imagine there was a moment of panic when David Long saw Badlands and thought, ah, crap. But now a sigh of relief as the Sylvan Scrying gets hit with a Force of Will. And wow, Alex Rubin actually picks up his 1 copy of Wasteland in the main deck in the early turns here. What a huge draw.
He's going to play that and leave it up, but Long has a second Thespian Stage as his 3rd land. Things getting interesting in this land battle.
Well, interestingly enough, David Long can actually use Thespian Stage to copy Rubin's Wasteland, and then at some point in the future, use Wasteland as a preemptive way to start the chain, much like we saw earlier in the day.
Rubin's land for turn is Scalding Tarn. He'll fetch to 18 and assemble the Tropical Island Badlands combo. You'd like to see Renin 6, so the cast here is his one of Baleful Strix. End step, Long is going to use a Thespian Stage, presumably trying to copy that Wasteland like you mentioned.
Yeah, there is a chance that he uses it to copy Badlands as well to pick up a second black mana for stuff like Vampire Hexmage. But we'll get confirmation on that. I'm pretty sure he targeted Wasteland.
And we'll go back to David Long. Mox Diamond is where he will start his turn.
All right, well, if he has a land to pitch to the Mox Diamond and the Dark Depths, he can play Dark Depths, use the Thespian Stage copying Wasteland to target Wasteland. Rubin's bottlenecked to use the Wasteland targeting Dark Depths, and then Long makes 20/20.
There is Dark Steps. We have confirmation that Thespian Stage is on Wasteland. Things are a little interesting here because of that one of Baleful Strix, because Rubin is playing a 2 Jace the Mind Sculptor deck. So if you can spend 1 turn chump blocking with your Strix, you can try to Jace bounce Merit Lage.
Sure. Sounds like a... Well, he actually he doesn't have that out anymore. He missed a land drop this turn.
Yeah, that cuts it off. Yeah, missed the land here. You see Long go for that Wasteland and pushes the combo. And here's Merit Lage. Aha!
He has the one of Liliana's Triumph.
That does
what
it.
A beating! He's got both those one-ups in his top 10 cards!
Really nice peels there for Rubin, and he has officially escaped Merit Lage for now. It's going to take his deck a while to close the game, though.
Sure. That does give David Long enough time to potentially set the combo up again. But I got to say, that is a couple of one-ups really raining on David Long's parade. Played that really well, and unfortunately for Helm, just got bit.
He's got crop rotation here. We'll see how close he is to another combo.
Oh, man. Please just go get Dark Depths. Go, like, Vampire Hexmage. Got him. That'd be nice.
It's Thespian Stage. And Verdant Catacombs will be the land for turn, which he will fetch to 18. I believe he still has 1 more Bayou in the deck, but he's going to find basic Swamp.
Now what he can do right now, if he wants to play around a Renin 6 Wasteland, he can Thespian Stage and copy his own Swamp. And now, even though it is a Thespian Stage, it is copying a basic land and basically is a Swamp with that Thespian Stage ability. So Renin 6 came back Wasteland doesn't break up the combo currently, And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he has another Dark Depths in hand. He may be able to reassemble the combo next turn.
Well, that was the line. The stage is now a swamp. So we'll head back over to Rubin, who will start his turn with the Brainstorm.
Now, we talked a bit about Dak Faden in this 4-color control deck as a way to punish your opponent with Leovold Emissary of Trest in play. Another key part of this deck, this particular build, is Grove of the Burn Willows and Punishing Fire. Now, that engine, along with Dak Faden, turns those Punishing Fires into extra resources, and you can keep getting in the back with the Grove of the Burn Willows. So a really cool build from Alex Rubin.
Yeah, this deck is really good at grinding. He did have a fetch land there to complete the Brainstorm. It's a Bloodstained Mire. Finds Underground Sea and now casts Ponder.
David Long here looking to be able to untap to make himself another Merit Lodge token. He's going to have to fade a few things. Rubin could have a Snapcaster Mage in hand, which can flash back that Liliana's Triumph. Depending on if he wants the main phase or not to play around Wasteland. It's got a whole other set of problems to potentially worry about as well.
Well, it's time for beatdowns for Rubin. Baleful Strix made life total 17 all. On Long's turn, there's the Dark Depth, so represents the combo once again.
No, I think he's going to go for it, and I think he's going to get blown out by a Snapcaster Mage. There's not a whole lot else he can do.
Grove of the Burn Willows go for Rubin.
Well, I take it back. Turns out we're going to start thawing it out.
Dark Depths down to 9 ice counters.
See what the response is here from Rubin.
Here's Abrupt Decay on Mox Diamond while that mana's tapped.
Yeah, we actually, Ryan just pointed out off camera, the Dark Depths tapped for mana. It was a mistake. He had the mana to pay for it with the Thespian stage, but that Urborg in hand kind of tricked his brain a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't of any consequence there. And now the Urborg replaces the Mox Diamond, so he could continue thawing or making it 2020. But here's that Jace the Mind Sculptor for Rubin. That means if Long wants to win with his 2020, he has to find a way to kill that Baleful Strix before attacking.
Yeah, he doesn't have a whole lot of ways left to do it. He has 3 Abrupt Decay, but he doesn't have a green source of mana on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's going to make it tough. He could produce a Vampire Hex Mage to destroy the Jace.
Oh, that'd be tight. If you're Alex, you got to be really liking your position at the moment. Jace the Mind Sculptor is a pretty great way to punish the Merit Lodge, and the Baleful Strix is pretty nice at blocking that 2020 for at least a turn.
Long is continuing to thaw the Dark Depths. It's coming. 8 counters to go. So we see Rubin brainstorm with his Jace the Mind Sculptor. So for a while, you expect that Baleful Strix to just hang out while Rubin tries to assemble some Punishing Fires to continue the slow burn on Long's life total.
Yep. And while this game trudges on, we got a couple updates on the back table for you. Benjamin Ragan up a game against Robert Long, and that's the Eldrazi-tron up over Izzet Phoenix. Nicholas Delvalle with Boros Feather also up a game against Julian John's Ordov Vampires.
Thoughtseize for Rubin shows a hand of 2nd Urborg, 2nd Dark Depths. A lot of legendary lands on Long's side.
All right, another charge or ice counter removed. This is the old school way to make a Merit Lodge, just continually taking the counters off manually.
One at a time.
Well, Rubin says, I have a stocked enough hand. I'm just going to try to win the game quickly here with a Jace the Mind Sculptor Ultimate.
Brick by brick, I seal his fate.
Please tell me that's the quote on Jace. Flavor text on Jace.
It should be. No room for flavor text, though. You see Jace goes to 5 and puts a card on the bottom of Long's deck.
Was that the Montresor? What was that story from Edgar? Was it Edgar Allan Poe where he bricks the guy up in the wine cellar?
There's an episode of The Simpsons that probably references that I was referencing.
Yeah, probably. I want to say it's not the Count of Monte Cristo, but it's the Cask of Amontillado. That's the one.
I believe you. It was a ponder kept for Rubin. Dark Depths down to 6 counters for Long.
Yeah, if you're Long here, you got to be, understanding here that you're basically 1% or less to win the game at this point.
Jace to 7. Check the top card of Long's deck again. Would you say that his odds to win this game are Long?
Yes. Oh, brother. All right, and now we just get to see a couple more turns of Jason Mind Sculptor, making sure that the coast is clear on the top of Dave Long's deck. Life doesn't really matter here because we're just going to use Jason Mind Sculptor to ultimate in just a few turns. Brennan 6 might actually seal the deal, getting back Wasteland over and over again.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Here is Brennan 6. Pick up Wasteland. Long thinking about a response. He's going to respond by making Merit Lage. There you see Jerry Thompson enter the battlefield.
All right, it looks like he does have the Snapcaster Mage and the Liliana's Cruelty, so Dave's not going to be able to, do any abrupt decays or anything like that to seal the deal. And here we are. Game 1 goes to Alex Rubin in the Legacy seed.
Yeah, Long took the last possible window to maybe make that 2020, but Rubin had him covered every step of the way there. And now the team of Rubin, Ragan, and Delvalle up a game in all 3 matches, all 3 formats, Standard, Modern, and Legacy.
Yeah, you have to imagine the game 1 on Ben Ragan's side of things was probably involved Chalice of the Void because the game was over quite fast. Nicholas DeVille, I assume that it involved, Reckless Rage and some number of creatures that benefit from it. Reckless Rage is one of the best cards from Boris Feather against Julian John. Ben Ragan, Eldrazi Tron, maybe a slight favorite against Is the Phoenix. I know that Chalice of the Void in general is really good against the deck.
So we got a sale going on over at StarCityGames.com. Heavily played cards. This goes through tomorrow. So maybe you got a Commander deck, a Cube, a Legacy deck. You need a couple goodies on there. You're looking to get a little discount. Don't care what they look like as long as they're sleeve playable. I feel that. Check out the sale and go to StarCityGames.com/sale.
No need to double sleeve. These are much loved.
No need to single sleeve. Just wreck them more.
Yeah. Now, if you play a lot of Magic and you're not necessarily a collector, you need to maybe grab one of those staples for your Commander deck or your Legacy deck. Make sure to head over to go.starcitygames.com/sale and check it out. And if you're not a huge fan of HP cards and you want some pristine ones, maybe check back tomorrow, middle of the day. We'll have a new sale for you.
Sale updates every Monday.
I love that the Emrakul had a really high-res image with the whiting around the foil. It's a really...
Oh, it's a great effect.
Yeah, love
Tells
it.
you exactly what you're getting into. Players checking out their sideboards here. David Long needs some help. Sideboard hit for him: 3 Plague Engineer, 3 Pithing Needle, 3 Hymn to Turok, 2 Surgical Extraction, a Sylvan Safekeeper, a Liliana the Last Hope, a Caracas, and an Assassin's Trophy.
Little does he know that there's only one Wasteland on the other side of the table. I expect David to bring in all 3 copies of Pithing Needle, most of the time naming Wasteland, but it does have value outside of that. Sometimes you can name Renin 6 and slow down that engine. Dak Fade and Jason Mind Sculptor also present. So he does have quite a few cards to name, even if the Wasteland is not in the opening couple of cards for Rubin. Hymn to Turok, I think, is an okay one to bring in, but I don't know if he wants to be that game plan. I think he needs to go super low to the ground, just try to combo as quickly as possible.
All right, so the sideboard for Rubin, we have Kolaghan's Command, Notion Thief. Don't adjust your monitors. That is a pernicious deed. 2 Force and Negation, 2 Nihil Spellbomb, 2 of those Plague Engineers of his own, 2 Surgical Extraction, 3 Pyroblast, and a Hydroblast.
So if you look, there's a lot of specific types of hate out of the sideboard. Pyroblast, Hydroblast, Surgical Extraction. These cards aren't all that good in the matchup. There is some merit to Surgical Extraction when combined with Wasteland to be able to take down the combo altogether, but we saw Pete Ingram lose multiple times by hitting Thespian Stage and Surgical Extracting and just losing to Vampire Hexmage plus Dark Depths. So I'm not sure how effective it's going to be, but I do expect it to come in. Force of Negation could just be more copies of Force of Will, just key points of interaction for the search effects like Crop Rotation or Sylvan Scrying that can go get those land pieces.
In truth, it looks like in the sideboarded games, he's largely leaning on the same one-ofs that did it for him in Game 1.
Yeah, for sure. He got a little lucky, I think, to draw both those one-ofs in Game 1, but he put them to good use, played really well, and made sure that Dave had no way out.
Players looking at their 7-card hands for game number 2. Trying to pick up the first game win for his team is Dave Long. And it looks like both players keep on 7. Long starts with the Verdant Catacombs, fetching to 19.
Yeah, my bet leading with a discard spell here. Just going to see what's up on the other side of the battlefield, or the other side of the table. It's going to let him know what he should aim with Pithing Needle. It's going to let him know if he can cast a Dark Confidant safely on turn 2, or even go for the combos early as turn 2 or 3.
Bayou is found.
Do. Recently watched The Waterboy.
All right.
Just came on TV, and there's a lot of really good, we'll say, Southern music on there. Classic rock.
So the Thoughtseize is cast for Long. We see a Ponder, a Leovold, a Brainstorm, a Abrupt Decay, then 3 lands, Island, Underground Sea, Grove of the Burn Willows.
Couple options for Dave Long here. You can take Brainstorm and kind of neuter the hand. Brainstorm, obviously one of the better hits in the format with discard spells because it allows your opponent to turn mediocre dead cards into action at the low cost of 1 blue mana and a fetch land. Leovold is not too terribly problematic. I assume Dave is just not going to cast anything after Leovold hits the battlefield. And Ponder is just a worse take than Brainstorm.
Brainstorm does hit the bin. Underground Sea Ponder will be turn 1 for Alex Rubin.
Going to shuffle it up there. Look like a land and a Kolaghan's Command. Neither all too impactful in this particular spot.
Some people keep on their Ponders. Rubin is no fortunate son.
Is that another joke?
It's another CCR reference.
Okay, there it is.
It's a banger.
Dave Long here going into turn 2. Has another Thoughtseize. Probably going to take Jace the Mind Sculptor.
We see Scalding Tarn was the pickup.
Well, Scalding Tarn and the Jace. The draw step and the Ponder. The Jace goes down. Dave Long just going to make sure he knows all the cards in his opponent's hand. See if he's got a land to play for the turn.
Nurturing Peatland. Ooh, and big draw step for Rubin. Liliana's Triumph.
Oh, come on.
Scalding Tarn Go will be his turn.
At some point, you just started to feel bad for him. But that's why they're in the deck, you know. The 4-color control deck plays a couple one-ofs that can dig for with those Ponders and Brainstorms and ultimately find it in the spots where you really need it. And in spots where any generic removal spell will do, it also gets the job done.
Thespian Stage is the land for Long. Now, he's not just dead to Liliana's Triumph, right? He can get another discard spell, get a Vampire Hex Mage. I don't believe he's on any Dryad Arbors this weekend, is he?
Not to my knowledge, but they could be hiding out in the land section.
I haven't seen one show up.
There are no Dryad Arbor as far as I can tell.
Right. Grove of the Burn Willows, land number 3 for Rubin. We know there's been a Leovold in hand. See if that's where he goes this turn. Fetches Scalding Tarn to 19.
Curious how Long plays the next few turns. The Leovold makes it so anything he uses to target his opponent's stuff, it's going to let him draw an extra card off of it. So any more discard he draws, it's not going to be dead, but it's not going to be nearly as effective. Cards like Abrupt Decay, if they're still in his deck, are not nearly as good. But luckily for him, he doesn't have a whole lot of things to say draw a card on them, so the static effect of Leovold is not that impactful.
Badlands is land number 3 for Rubin. We see the Grove giving Long a life to 16, and there is the Leovold.
All right, Long here, taking on what to do. If I'm not mistaken, he has a Dark Depths in hand, so could just next turn main phase make a 20-20 and hope for the best. Could also just wait till end step and play around a Jace the Mind Sculptor or perhaps a Liliana the Veil or something like that.
There's that Dark Depths. Passes to Rubin.
Oh.
Draws Snapcaster Mage.
It's not good, Jim.
Islands land for a turn. Attack for 3, Long to 13. We'll see if we see Marilade show up.
Yeah, we have a result on the back tables as well. Benjamin Ragan picks up his match 2-0 over Robert Long's Is It Phoenix. Eldradratron doing some work against that Is It Phoenix menace.
And Long's going to shove on that Marilade.
He has very little reason not to. That's the problem. You know, he's made sure the coast was clear 2 turns ago with multiple copies of Thoughtseize. And unfortunately for him, Alex Rubin peels the one of that really hammers him.
Yeah, Liliana's Triumph takes that token down. And this game, Rubin has a lot more control over closing quickly. That Leovold is kind of a real clock here with that Nurturing Peatland and those Thoughtseizes.
Right.
Long going to 11 off the Peatland to cast Sylvan Scrying.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Long, you know, he has to reassemble the combo, but he also has to reassemble the combo again through a Snapcaster Mage on the Liliana's Triumph. And I don't know if he has the time to do it before that Leovold takes the game.
Finds Dark Depths and plays it. But Rubin pretty firmly in the driver's seat here.
Looks like Rubin picked up a Surgical Extraction. I would expect him to use that on the draw step against Long to take away the Thespian stages. He's going to do it on main phase to play around crop rotation, I suppose. Heads up play.
So you see it fired off here, grabbing Thespian stage. You see a hand, Wasteland, Abrupt Decay, Duress. That's the Jiri step.
Yeah, Sajiri step is a one-of for crop rotation to protect yourself from Jace the Mind Sculptor minuses as well as Swords of Plowshares in general. It's pretty useful. It can also make your Marilage unblockable if your opponent has a Delver of Secrets or Baleful Strix or something.
Yeah. Not looking great in this hand here, though.
No, it is not. It's not one that you normally want to draw.
And you see the Thespian stages all getting exiled. Rubin giving a look over the library, seeing what Long might be drawing to for outs.
Unfortunately for Long, the door is closing quickly. This Leovold's about to attack him down to 8. He needs to draw a Vampire Hex Mage, but that's just going to get blown up by the Snapcaster Mage on the Liliana's Cruelty. So, you know, I'm really curious how he gets out of this if he is able to.
Leovold attacks Long to 8. Time is ticking.
Thaw.
You trust Mox Diamond.
Well, if Rubin doesn't have another land here in the next turn or two, this Wasteland actually might provide Long with an out. You know, if he has Wasteland for, let's say, Guard with the Burn Wolves, he turns off access to green mana. You know, he might not know there's no copies of Assassin Trophy on the other side, but you know, that's the card that some of these decks might want to play. And then if he can find Vampire Hexmage, maybe he makes a 20-20 during the end step after Wastelanding the Guard with the Burn Wolves away.
So Wasteland was land for turn. We see Rubin go for another attack with the Leovold. Abrupt Decay is going to catch it in combat. Rubin draws a card, but then the Leovold hits the graveyard.
Well, that's going to buy him a lot more time. So he might have more time than I initially thought here. And he actually might be able to start just thawing this Dark Depths over time, but
Long is going to sacrifice the Nurturing Peatland to draw a card. Spotted an Urborg picked up in the hand. Looks like the other Peatland as well. That's the land he'll play for turn. And he'll sacrifice that one right away, or he's thinking about it anyway.
what is going through your head, sir? I would like to know.
It's a precarious spot. Story of game 1, we saw him fully assemble the combo twice, and it was just picked apart immediately, and it really felt like you can't realistically do it 3 times.
Yeah. Dress here is going to basically let Dave know what's up. You know, this Snapcaster Mage is his one piece of protection, but he has it, and the Dress can't take it. So
Rubin thinking about fighting over the duress.
Yeah, I mean, he's not in danger of getting combo this turn, really. He knows most of Long's hand, and he knows there's one unknown that's the Mox Diamond, but there can't be two unknowns of Mox Diamond Hex Mage. So he could just spend 3 mana, cast Force of Negation here if he wants. He can also Cold against command to discard, get back Leovold.
Yeah, Colligan's command is the play. I believe it was a shock. Yeah, it was long to 5. Sure. Leovold returned to hand. So now you see the hand of Abrupt Decay, Leovold, Force of Negation, Brainstorm, Snapcaster Mage.
I can dig it. Wouldn't be surprised if Rubin actually just fires off an EOT Brainstorm as well, just for mana efficiency purposes, so he can hold up a hard cast Force of Negation, or maybe just find the 5th land to go threaten a Snapcaster Colgan's command.
If you can find that land, the combination of Leovold, attack next turn, and then Snapcaster, Colgan's command. I guess even just cast Snapcaster and attack, that'll be lethal in 2 turns.
Right.
You see Force of Negation hit by the duress.
Now Long can play Mox Diamond, discard Sideboarding Staff if he wants. Give himself an extra mana to sack this Nurturing Peatland during the instep. He's going to hold on to the Sideboarding Staff, valuing that potentially the unblockability.
Yeah, Urborg discarded instead. Long passes to Rubin. A little conversation on the team, thinking if they want to use the Brainstorm end step. Seems pretty low value. They decided against it.
It is low value, but I think that there is merit to the play. You know you're going to be using most, if not all, of your mana over the next few turns, or at least you need to threaten to utilize all of it. And that effectively just means that you're just not going to cast Brainstorm for at least like 2 more turns. But here I think it's pretty safe to cast the Leovold. I think the only way you really lose is if David Long has, well, you know the last card in hand, so it has to be a Vampire Hexmage off the top and a Wasteland on one of your dual lands, and you just miss on lands off the Brainstorm. That all seems relatively unlikely. And you draw a card even off of the Wasteland, so.
Consulting with teammate Ben Ragan. They want to make sure they don't leave anything on the table. In a pretty strong position here, but you'd hate to throw it away.
Oh, for sure. All right. Play is decided. Casting the Leovold. Passing the turn more than likely.
Long gives Leovold a read, presumably based around when he wants to sacrifice this Nurturing Peatland, which you see him do on Rubin's turn.
Now, he drew a crop rotation, but unfortunately all those Thespian stages are gone.
Yeah, can't rotate for Vampire Hexmage.
Now, unfortunately for David, I think his window to potentially combo is effectively closed. He had a small opening here. If he drew exactly Vampire Hexmage, he could Wasteland one of the lands, make a 20/20, and then hope, beyond hope, that Rubin didn't find a land for the Snapcaster Mage. Forces the play. Head in hands, never a good sign. I believe we know the last 2 cards in hand are Sideboarding Staff and Crop Rotation, but Alex only knows about the Sideboarding Staff, if I'm not wrong on that one.
Yeah, that is my understanding. Now we're going to see Rubin use that end step Brainstorm.
Put 2 back, but is effectively forced to draw the top one. Maybe able to shuffle away the second one with a fetch land.
Two cards going back to his turn, draws the first. plays Scalding Tarn, attacks with Leovold, long to 3.
I'm looking over his lands here to see if there's any land he might want to go get with the crop rotation, but unlike the 40 land strategy, he doesn't have Tabernacle Pendrell Vale or Glacial Chasm or anything like that to buy him time. He's at 3 life, facing down a Leovold, Snapcaster Mage, and a number of other things. Snapcaster Mage, able to target the Liliana's Triumph, is the biggest deal here.
See the sacrifice of the Scalding Tarn. Fetches away 1 card from that Brainstorm. Punishing Fire.
That'll do it. He's going to rebuy that with the Grove of the Burn Willows, and that's going to deal the 4 necessary points of damage to win the match for Rubin, Ragan, and Delvalle, and we're going to see them in the top 8.
That's a clean 5-game sweep.
Yeah, it didn't look good from the outset for Long Long and John, and unfortunately for them, their day is done. Their goose is cooked. Turkey's in the oven. Put a fork in them, he's done.